Okay, technical difficulty. That's what happens when sometimes you do things off the phone. I was trying to download a song real quick and it just cut off on me, but it's okay. We're back here on Future Talk Radio. Let me send the links to all y'all real fast. Apex, hopefully you'll get this one so you can resend it out for me. It just cut off on us. We're about to do some more poetry. What you got for us, Ro? What's this one about?
So this one's called All Lives Matter.
All Lives Matter. So what is this about?
It's so everything that's going on in the world and how our people are being killed in the streets. So I wrote this as my take on the whole Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter.
Okay.
Kind of debate. So this is my take on it.
Okay.
All life matters, I will agree. But for different reasons, I hope you will see Black Lives Matter means more to me. Because from 1619 to 1968, I wasn't even considered a human being. A savage sentenced to servitude, stripped of everything, including our last name. Oh, should I forget that too? Remember, I was never meant to sit at the same table as you. To this country you love so dearly, I was never enough. July 28th, I wrote this almost exactly to the day, 148 years later, and still haven't fully escaped. I have one point to make. I hope you hear, I will be clear. If all lives mattered, with me you'd shed a tear. If all lives mattered, you'd recognize my fear. If all lives mattered, you'd hear the pain in my screams. Instead, you find any reason why he or she deserved to die, finding arrest records from 1965. Facebook pictures become the evidence in your mental trial, convicting and sentencing them to face a justified death. So this place is easier for you to exist. If all lives mattered, civil rights wouldn't have needed an act. They would have been automatic. We shall overcome. I'm sure Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't mean this is what we would become. If all lives mattered, with me you'd search for a fix. Instead, you replace my plea, reduce my needs, until they are far from your view. When you believe the images plastered on CNN, when you accept the slander of another black man or woman and never question the officer's motives or intention, the image of him in uniform with flag waving in the background is always enough for benefit of the doubt to be given. You no longer need convincing. Your need for reasonable doubt has been met. Your empathy never on display unless you are a gorilla named Harambe. Then and only then is it a tragedy. Cell phone or surveillance video still leaves you with doubt, framing your thoughts, worrying about what may have been left out. Lives are being lost. Doesn't that matter to you? I'll tell you why it matters to me. The year Trayvon was murdered, my brother turned 18. The same age Trayvon will never see. He was states away, but his death forever changed me. I saw my brother leave. Black hoodie, iced tea, candy. I couldn't help but see him not return to me eventually. I saw the world more clearly. I built my own piece of this world, governed by truth, rarely taken by lies. But lately, I can't see the truth through these tears falling from my eyes. I fear with each passing day that the next tragedy is closer than we think. Not a matter of if, but when. And you will look at me with tears swelling in my eyes without concern and convince me again that if he hadn't or she hadn't, they might still be alive. That a broken tail light is a capital offense. Selling cigarettes or CDs is somehow menacing. A movement to get proper identification is threatening. Truly, if all lives mattered, you'd stop treating these as isolated events, telling me to stop using my better judgment. You'd be more concerned with justice, less with the critique I have for its purpose. You'd be more concerned in its function and less content with this dysfunction. If all lives mattered, I would never have to say Black Lives Matter in the first place. And one last thing. We never said Black Lives Matter only, just that we matter too. You changed the meaning because you couldn't stand the spotlight not being on you.
Woo! All right. So that was man, that was the heavy hitter right there.
Yeah.
Well, so where can we see some of your performances coming up? You have any coming up?
So I'll be performing at an open mic at the Impresso on June 19th. I mean, no, not June 19th. May 19th. We'll be at the Impresso. That's an open mic, so anybody can come out and share their talents. And then June 11th. June 11th, I am a part of a collective. It's called The Vibe. And that's going to be at Whiskey Tavern near the Miracle Mile.
Miracle Mile? Okay.
Yeah. So that's June 11th. The Vibe. A bunch of dope poets, musicians. We're all part of this collective, and we're going to be putting on a
Facebook,
show.
Twitter, all that?
Facebook, The Vibe Worldwide. And that's on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Brandy, I know you got some stuff coming up. We got one on Apex. We got anything?
Man. Got a few things popping up over here at the Urban Marketplace on the patio. But before we jump into that, I really want to kind of, unpack some of that content because that was a heavy piece.
Yes, it was.
DJ Caution.
That
Big
was.
shouts to C Truth and giving us all that truth, man. Who is this gorilla named Harambe? Can you bust down that line? For
I can actually bust that down for you. Okay, so I want to say last year summertime, there was an incident at the Cincinnati Zoo or Cleveland Zoo. I can't remember. It was one of the C's.
Oh yeah.
It was at the zoo, right? And so like a kid fell into the
that's right.
Encampment or something like that, and it looked like the gorilla was being like aggressive or something like that towards the kid, and without any kind of like questioning or without any argument, they shot the gorilla, and the gorilla's name happened to be Harambe. R.I.P. Harambe. But his and so this story made nationwide news, and there were so many people like sympathetic to the plight of this fallen gorilla, and a lot of people were like outcrying, like you shouldn't have killed him and all of this other stuff. And it was just like, it seemed like this story got more attention than a story about Tamir Rice, who was a kid playing in the park with a toy gun. And by all accounts, from what you see from the surveillance video, the police wasted no time in gunning him down. And Tamir Rice was 12 years old. To me, like a 12-year-old kid playing in a park by himself. There weren't any other people in his direct vicinity, so he wasn't a threat to anyone. If he was a threat to anyone, it would have been himself. But I mean, he's a kid playing in a park by himself, and because someone outside and says, I can make a call and say, I don't feel comfortable, and the police will come running. And if it happens to be someone of color, they don't ask questions.
Word.
So, in that, that's where that line burst from, is this don't ask questions kind of thing, and we just gun you down. But it seems to be in the media that the cases or the situations that need the most attention seem to be overshadowed by things of less significance. Now, I'm not saying it's not unfortunate that Harambe was, gunned down. But Harambe is an animal, and, don't human lives matter more?
Wow.
That's an interesting question.
That was, I think, I mean, it's crazy because my friend of mine, my friend Mike Kelly, PJ Pause Improvise, big ups to you, man. His mom got shot by the cops. You know, little Filipino lady.
Oh, wow.
And just, you know, she came out and pow. And just, but she came out, you know, a little spoon or whatever, but she was, I mean, she's a little Filipino. She not shot her, shoot her in the leg, not to shoot her in the.
Right.
You know, it's just like, I don't know. I have an issue with like how people feel like since they're, I don't know. I'm talking about the police officers, and I love police officers. My point is, there's always good cops and bad cops.
Absolutely. And see, my thing is that I don't discriminate against all police officers. I don't think all of anything is bad or all of anything is good.
Where's the? I mean, there's a gray area too. I mean, there's also like they just messed up. Like it wasn't like a racial. It wasn't a racial thing. It was like
absolutely,
you know,
it doesn't have to be a racial thing. Now, it's very disproportionate when you look at the statistics. Black people make up probably 16% of the population as a whole. That's including men. That's including women. 16% as a whole. And when you look at the statistics of you are more likely as a black person to walk out into the streets and be gunned down by police, being a very small minority of the population, it becomes an alarming number. Because you're already a limited part of the population, and if you're being taken out or gunned down or profiled, even if you end up not dying, like you're more likely to go to prison. You're more likely to get lost in the system as a black person in this society than you are a white person. And and those are statistics. Like, you can look it up. There's a really phenomenal documentary called 13th that explains like everything from the 13th Amendment on, and how the 13th Amendment kind of gave power to incarceration, or it gave the pathway to the incarceration rates we see today.
Right. That's what's up, man. Thank you, C-Troop, for that. That's one of the beautiful things I love about, you know, artistic expression, performing arts. I mean, there's so much to bust down or break down or unpack, when it comes to, some creative poetry that speaks a lot to today's issues, or a song. And to me, it's just as, important of a teaching tool, maybe, dare I say, even more useful than some of these textbooks and just things we use in the classroom, what we see in traditional public school. And, I'm saying this respectfully because I enjoy some of the literature that's utilized, and I find the relevance and value in that, and your social studies and your traditional things that you have in the classroom. But there's just something about creative use of language that happens to come from spoken word, slam poetry, urban, social commentary that just really hits home, especially when it talks about today's issues. So I really do appreciate works like that. So I'm looking forward to the vibe. Big shouts to Andrea Kitten and Brandon Tiger on the beat. That's two felines, right? Yeah. Dang, you got a tiger and a kitten, right? Yo, that show is gonna be great.
Like Tony Tiger.
I had to do it.
You had to do it. You went there. You said great.
But,
man.
I mean, I agree with you. Like, one of my favorite pieces of literature